C.J. Stroud, I was thinking, and we need to talk about this because they got a game coming up in New England in 5 days. At some point, you got to be ready to get. You know how they used to bring out the big hook? Like if there was an act that was bombing, they'd bring out the big hook and pull the guy off the stage. At some point, he needs to get the hook for Davis Mills. At some point, you can't justify leaving the guy out there. And it's going to be a strange, awkward kind of week, I think, or at least for a day or two, as the Texans players process how last night could have gone. Because for all that dominance, it still was close until the moment that we started the show with. The strip sack, the fumble, the return for the touchdown. That's when it was over. And it only got worse after that with a couple more touchdowns by the Texans, but they could have lost that game. And I think they know they could have lost that game. And I think the real question is, can they overcome another performance like that from C.J. Stroud in New England and expect to win the game? And I think if Stroud plays like that on Sunday, I'm not so sure they're going to win that game.
I agree with you. That was my biggest takeaway. And I always think back to how the playoffs work. I remember playing in a game where we beat the Houston Texans in one of the years in the playoffs, and it just wasn't a great game across the board for us as a team. I remember coming in, and no matter what, the jubilation after beating a team in the playoffs, it's very high because it's the reality of your season could have been over and you won, and now you continue to play. So, like, everyone's celebrating, everyone is all in, and for a lot of teams, that process to kind of really go back through it will start today. Our team was a veteran team. Bill Belichick, been there so many different times. I remember getting in the locker room and Bill giving us the first 2 minutes of his speech. Hey, congratulations, you won a playoff game. That's a big deal in this league. And then that was really it. He went over a few highlights that happened in the game, and then he said to us, if we play the way we played tonight, our season will end next week. And, like, the reality hit, and I'm wondering where for Houston that conversation is going to start. Did D'Amico hit that last night? Is that, hey, when they get back, get a day off, and then they get back to it tomorrow? Like, whatever that is, that's what their season's going to come down to, that real conversation, and then how they recover, their week of practice, what it looks like going into New England. Because until a Kalen Bullock interception late in that game, you're sitting there and you're saying, man, we have 3 turnovers to this one strip sack and touchdown we just got. That's been the only cushion in this game. Because, like, at one point we're sitting there and it's like, man, we're down in the turnover battle 3-0. 3-0 and avoidable turnovers, really, when we watch. Like, people around CJ, it was like his awareness wasn't there last night. He was trying to make plays that wasn't there. It was very confusing watching, I think, for people who are like, man, CJ Stroud is a really good player, because you couldn't see that last night. And I think you always talk about, I'm sure you're about to go into it, the look. Like, each time they kept panning to him after an interception, it was that feeling of like, man, what's going on here? How am I playing this poorly? It was that feeling of, man, like, is he going to be able to get out of this? And I think the scary thing for New England is most of the time when a guy plays this poorly, that's a good player, it doesn't happen like that again. And I think we all think that for CJ now going to New England, like, no way he plays like that again. But I agree with you how you started. Like, he can't do that and think they're going to win another playoff game on the road against New England.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.